Cavs, Cavs, Cavs. Keep on winning. It's Fred Alert here for the Voice of the Fan. Well, Cleveland Cavaliers, they are making us proud, but they're also scaring us day after day after day. All these close games, kind of make us wonder, are we as good as we think? Well, yes, we are. It's just that we don't have Kyrie anymore. We don't have LeBron. So there's going to need to be more balanced scoring. And that's what we're seeing, right? The defense needs to step it up, but you're leaning on some of these second-tier players off the bench to give you 10 points, 12 points, 8 points. That's what it's going to take when Donovan Mitchell and Garland, they are superstars, but we do not have those once-in-a-lifetime players on our team anymore. So we're going to have some of these close games. As the season continues, some of these teams that are ranked lower in the East or even in the West, their chemistry is increasing, they're going to play better regardless of what their record is. So you're not going to just, roll over teams like you kind of were earlier in the season. But it's good. We're still winning and we're facing challenges, but we're overcoming those challenges. And your bench players are really stepping up, and you've got that balanced scoring. Why is this so important? Well, think about, maybe 2015 when Kyrie and Kevin Love both went down. What happened? Well, there was really no one to really help LeBron besides Delly and Mozgov. And they were starters, right? They became starters. So you needed the J.R. Smiths and the Shumperts to have the confidence that was needed for them to drop 12, 18, maybe 10 rebounds, a couple assists. And they weren't giving you that consistently. They weren't giving you that consistently because during the season, they really didn't consistently have to do that because LeBron and Kyrie were carrying such a huge load, but that wasn't sustainable, right? And then the next year, we had a little bit more of a reliable support system, right? We all know about how JR pretty much saved us in the beginning of the third quarter in the 2016 NBA Finals because he had been doing that all year. He knew how to, score his 12, his 18, maybe even his 20 points consistently. Well, now you're getting that now, regularly, earlier in the year. We've gotten that, and it's increasing from our bench players. So it's really good to see. Garland, you heard me say bench. I heard you scream out there. He heard that word bench. Yes, we appreciate you, but we know what has to happen versus Boston. So get the cushions ready because you're going to want to be comfortable. Anyway, let's go on to the Browns. Well, we heard that Miles Garrett might have been a little bit upset because after the combine, he thought that liberation had arrived and that he was going to be gone. Well, the allies are still knocking at the gate, Garrett, and they're still trying to get through. But it sounds like the Buffalo Bills are going to save the day. Maybe. We're hearing that Buffalo's wants to move heaven and earth to get Miles Garrett because they think he will put them over the top so they can stop losing to the Chiefs or not even getting to the AFC Championship game. Well, that's fine. You want to go to Northern Siberia, go ahead. But just make sure that the Bills send us the picks that we need, right? And that will be 2 number ones and 2 number twos. We want your number 1 this year, your number 1 next year. We want your number 2 this year, your number 2 next year. And a 3rd round pick next year would probably top it off, right? Now, why is it so important that you make this trade now and not later? Well, if you have those picks in hand now, you can use them to move up, which it sounds like you may have to do. If you want to take a chance and pass on Cam Ward, you could stand pat and then you'd really be loaded. But it sounds like you're going to need to give the Tennessee Titans something to move up one spot. Now, personally, I feel like you could probably get away with giving them 2 second-round picks this year and maybe even throw in a second-round pick next year, and they may let you move up one spot, especially if they're not interested in Cam Ward. Now, if they are interested in Cam Ward, you're probably going to have to give up a number 1 pick. So that number 1 that you got from Buffalo, you can use it as ammunition to move up. Now, some people might say, well, why are you doing all this to move up this year? You could wait until next year and just use those picks. Well, next year's not guaranteed, right? Everyone's thinking, well, let's wait for Arch Manning. Well, what if Arch Manning gets attacked by some rabid squirrels and they tear his ACL? Or what if he decides he wants to play badminton for the rest of his life? You just cannot wait until next year. If you think that Cam Ward can be a starting quarterback for you, he doesn't have to start week 1. But if you think this guy is a superstar, you need to go up and get him. You cannot take any chances, right? You cannot take any chances. If you leave it up in the air, you might end up with a handful of air, right? Nothing of true value when it comes down to it. If you draft the wrong quarterback, the wrong player, and then we still don't have a QB, we're just right where we started, right? So you cannot leave it to chance. Now, we cannot leave out the Guardians. Unfortunately, DeLauder is hurt. He's going to be out for, I think, 6 to 12 weeks or 8 to 12 weeks. So that's a blow. That's a bummer. But it does give an opportunity to some of our in-house players, right? Don't ask me why they call him Big Christmas, but he might need to get a few more innings and some reps, right, out in the outfield. And if he did, and a few more at-bats, like last year, if you think about if he would have gotten more opportunities at the plate last year, maybe he would have been a little hotter by the time we faced the Yankees, and he could have given us that big bat that we really needed in the playoffs last year. So it may not be a terrible thing that other players that may not be potential superstars like DeLauder is, that they get, some run because somebody like, I don't know why I keep calling him Big Christmas. I can't think of his real name, but if he could get, valuable at-bats and, consistent play out in the outfield, it may really boost his confidence. And not only that, it may really sharpen his skills, right, through repetition. He's young. So they're going to have to, play musical chairs out in the outfield. But it looks like, after 8 to 12 weeks, he's going to be okay. It's just a sports hernia. It's not the end of the world. He didn't, tear MCL or, destroy any of his ligaments, so he should be fine. Getting back to the Browns for a second, if we consider the idea of Miles Garrett getting traded after the draft, it could be truly detrimental and a huge setback for the Browns. You think about players and teams that make moves late after the draft. Normally, these are teams and players that are well established. They're not desperate teams. Right now, the Browns are desperate. They desperately need an answer at quarterback, right? So desperate times call for desperate measures. So you cannot take a chance and let Miles Garrett get so disgruntled that he goes on another media tirade and lets everybody know that he's going to sit out if he doesn't get drafted, because then his if he doesn't get traded, his trade value is just going to drop so far, right? So we want to make a move before the draft so you have those picks in hand, and also before things can get uglier, right? If things get really ugly, it could mean a lot of trouble for the Browns. I mean, just ask Mason Rudolph what happens when things get ugly in relation to Miles Garrett, and we don't want to see that. We don't want to see him disgruntled to the point that he's just, refusing to participate in any preseason activities. We don't want to get there. So I would think that we want to make these moves sooner than later. And then you could just start retooling your team and not worry about any extra drama. Anyway, like and subscribe. Let me know what you think. Talk to you soon.